celebrating 101 years of St. Martin of Tours, Gaithersburg. This weekend concludes our 2-year celebration of St. Martin's centennial anniversary. Let's take a look back. We've come a long way since the first Mass was said on our property on December 12, 1920, by Father John Stanislaus Cuddy, the pastor of St. Mary's Parish in Barnesville. Even that first chapel Mass was not the true beginning of St. Martin's. The origins of our parish are found in the growing railroad town of Gaithersburg in the late 1800s. At that time, the nearest church was the Mission Church of St. Rose, located on the estate of Francis Clopper, 3 miles away by foot, horse, or wagon. A prominent local family, the Gloyds, offered their home as a worship space that was closer to the town and railroad. Siblings Thomas and Adeline Gloyd had a brother and a nephew who were priests and could often find a priest to offer Mass in their front parlor. Their house is no longer standing. It was located at the north end of the Father Cuddy Bridge, where the brick Verizon store now is. By 1914, local families were actively searching for land to build their own church. Father George Harrington at Barnesville noted in 1913 that the Archbishop wanted him to build a church in Gaithersburg. The Chapel Committee of Ladies focused on land once occupied by the Summit Hotel, which had burned down in 1904. These ladies approached 2 prominent Gaithersburg landowners, Ignatius Thomas Folks and John Diamond. Diamond, a Catholic, donated his share of the land, and Folks, described as very religious, sold his land for a fraction of its value. On April 17, 1914, 3.5 acres of land at Summit Hall became the property of the Archdiocese of Baltimore. In 1920, Father Cuddy concluded his service as an Army chaplain and was assigned to St. Mary's Barnesville, which included St. Rose and the Gaithersburg area. He arranged for surplus Army mess halls to be transferred to the property to serve as the first church. The mess halls came from Camp Meigs in Washington, D.C., which was decommissioned at the end of World War I. There are no known photos of the interior of the mess hall chapel, but we do know what it looked like when it was a mess hall. Father Cuddy was full of energy and ideas. After founding St. Martin's, he convinced the Sisters of Notre Dame de Namur to come out to the area to teach Sunday school, which began in October 1923. There was such demand in the community that Father Cuddy began building a school before he knew if the sisters would agree to come teach every day. His faith was rewarded, and the school opened in September 1925. It was the first Catholic school in Montgomery County. Traveling the 15 miles by train or car from their convent in D.C. out to St. Martin's School in Gaithersburg was challenging for the sisters. So Father Cuddy purchased 4 acres of land across Frederick Avenue from the church and renovated the large house already there. This house became a convent for the sisters. They lived there from 1926 until they left the school in 1973. St. Martin's was a vibrant parish and school. It was also a large parish. Our original borders stretched from the Potomac River in the south to the county line north of Damascus. In the 1920s, there were only 3 other parishes in Montgomery County: St. Mary's Barnesville, St. Mary's Rockville, and St. John's in Forest Glen, which is now Silver Spring. Since that time, 6 other parishes have formed within our original boundaries, beginning with St. Paul's, Damascus in 1957. Father Cuddy was killed on December 7, 1928, when the car he was driving was struck by a train at the railroad crossing near the church property. The tragedy made headlines across the region. The entire town of Gaithersburg was heartbroken. One student recalled how Father Cuddy's nephew, also a priest, came to stay for a month to help the school children adjust to his loss. the town was also spurred into action. The railroad crossing where Father Cuddy was killed was known to be dangerous. Townspeople began petitioning the government, and 2 years later, a 2-lane bridge was built over the train tracks. When Route 355 was widened in the 1980s, the original bridge was replaced with the one we know today. The city of Gaithersburg named the new bridge after Father Cuddy. Over the next couple of decades, the parish continued to grow. Father Callahan, Father Cuddy's successor, built the rectory by 1930, today's parish office. As the congregation kept increasing, Father Twomley, our fourth pastor, moved masses from the cramped mess halls into the school auditorium. When the parish celebrated its 25th anniversary in the auditorium, Pastor Paul Meyer announced that the parish would begin saving to build a church. The groundbreaking for the church was held in December 1956. Mrs. Teresa Selby, one of the committee of ladies who procured our land, turned over the first shovelful of earth. In less than a year, the church was complete. In early November, Auxiliary Bishop Hannon dedicated the altar. Our altar contains relics from Saint Anestus, Saint Eudoxius, Saint Francis Xavier, and Saint Therese of the Child Jesus. The church itself was dedicated 1 week late by Archbishop O'Boyle on November 17, 1957. After 30 years at St. Martin's, Father Meyer retired. He moved into the house which now bears his name, and Father Americo de Norcia came to St. Martin's. Father Dino, as he was called, had a passion for social justice, and under his leadership, the Lord's Table Soup Kitchen opened in 1984. Father Dino also built a new, much larger school to replace the aging original building. The school was dedicated in 1987. Father Dino also arranged for the first Masses in Spanish to be celebrated at St. Martin's, in recognition of the increasing diversity of the Gaithersburg area. Father Oliver McGreedy was pastor for a few months in 1991, followed by Father Michael Maloney. Our social ministry outreach continued as the food pantry opened in 1992, and the annual coat drive in honor of St. Martin began in 1993. As the parish now had 3 resident priests, Father Maloney also built a new, larger rectory on the grounds near the Father Meyer house. The rectory was finished in 1995, and the original rectory renovated to become the parish offices. Father Bill Ryan came to St. Martin's in 1993 as an associate. Fluent in Spanish, he expanded our ministry to the Hispanic population, adding more masses and religious ed programs. In 2003, Father Mark Brennan was welcomed at St. Martin's, and he quickly discovered how busy and diverse the largest parish in the diocese was. 12 masses were scheduled for weekends, including a regular Sunday Mass for the growing French community. The Adoration Chapel was moved from the Father Meyer house into half of the food pantry building. Father Rick Gankayko was assigned to St. Martin's after Monsignor Brennan was named an auxiliary bishop for the Archdiocese of Baltimore in 2016. Father Gankayko began the much-needed renovations to the church, both inside and outside the building. When Father Rick suffered health issues, Father David Wells was appointed as parish administrator and completed the church renovations over several years. He also led efforts to provide sacraments and community to the parish during the pandemic that closed the country in mid-March 2020. He has celebrated our centennial with us. Named pastor in June 2020, Father Dave was officially installed on August 8, 2021 by Bishop Dorsonville. These are some of the highlights of the first 100 years of St. Martin of Tours. Here's to our parish community across the decades and to our next century of worship and service.